I'm Casey Calvert.
I'm Leanna Lovings.
I'm Corey Chase.
I'm Bree Mills, and you're listening to the Adult Time Podcast. How did you discover the world of webcams that eventually became your entry door?
Totally. I went to high school with a girl who was a couple years older than me, and she had started doing webcamming. And of course, like small town, so people were, like talking a lot about it and not positively, of course. But I heard about it and I was like, you guys sound like a bunch of haters. Like this girl is literally just at home like masturbating and making money. Like, how do I sign up? So I pretty much like reached out to her and was like, hey, I think what you're doing is awesome. First off. Second off, like, can you show me the ropes?
Right. Okay. So that you found indirectly a mentor for it.
Yeah. And I think I only cammed with her maybe like one time, but she kind of just like was like, here, this is the site I'm doing it on. And then I just kind of like did it on my own, experimented with it. And I think like going back to what you opened it with, like I think a lot of performers maybe start that way because like you're able to be in control of it. You're at home. Like you're in your own, or maybe not at home, but you're somewhere where you're alone, comfortable. You have like a barrier between, whoever you're interacting with, and you're able to kind of like get into that lifestyle in a less like intrusive, like I feel like if I had gone to set before webcamming, I might have been like, this is maybe a little much for me.
Yeah, so because it's sort of anonymous, right? Because there are people chatting, you know that you're doing it for the masses, but you can't see them. You're at home in your private space. And so you can kind of build a little bit of that confidence because it is, in a way, kind of like just playing around in front of a camera. Yeah.
And you're in control. Yeah. It's like a controlled environment. So, but yeah, I just, I basically just had her help me. And I don't believe she's performed, but she performed and like was a webcam model for a long time, but I'm like, I'll have to do my research if she's still around. But yeah, so that was how I did it. Just kind of like saw what she was doing and was like, hey, cool, good for you. Don't let people talk shit about it,
Interesting. So you sort of saw a little bit of a trailblazer like within your own community that was sort of going against the grain in terms of people's negative reactions. And you learned a lot from them. And then that helped open doors towards where you are now. Can you tell me in your first, especially that like first year or couple of years, what would be some of the biggest lessons that you learned about being in sex work and certainly how that influenced you as you were growing as a person? Yeah.
I think that really one of the biggest lessons I learned and one of the things I look back on and wish that I would have advocated for myself a little harder in certain situations. Because we spoke about this a little bit beforehand. I mean, the industry's changed a lot in very positive ways. I don't think it was so much like that when I first started. And I think I did a lot of, being, not wanting to be difficult or not wanting to seem like I was, trying to whatever. Just even something so little as we're going to do a pile driver. It's like, oh, man, like, do I have to? Like, and like just doing things that you're like, okay, well, like, I think I would have said that like advocating for myself would have been like one of the biggest lessons that I wish I learned earlier on. Because I definitely have no problem doing that now. You still kind of hesitate always because you don't want to be like difficult. But it's like, really at the end of the day, you have to do what is best for you. And you have to think about yourself in those moments of like, okay, how's this gonna affect my day? How's this gonna affect any, anything, any aspect? Right. So I think that would be a big one to point out.
Yeah. Do you remember you being on set since, obviously sex work is work and there's the performance element of it. Can you think of the first time when you were on set doing sex work where you had a really authentic, hard orgasm that made you sort of like stand out in your mind?
Yeah. Well, for me, I think that it was kind of like a funny way that it went about. So like when I got into the industry, I was so excited. I was like, ooh, a bunch of hot girls and hot guys that I get to bang. This is awesome. Like I was kind of like candy shop eyes, like, whoo, this is exciting. So for me, I think that I was enjoying it from the very beginning. I was excited. Whereas, now it's like I've been doing it for so long, it does fall into a little bit more of a professional. I'm so excited. I'm still a sexual person, but I'm just a little more tailored back to just be whatever. But yeah, I remember like a specific scene that I had done with a male performer in Miami. And I remember having one of those moments, like this was probably maybe 3-4 months in. And I had fun from the beginning, but I remember having a moment where I was like, wow, that was, I'm like, we're doing like sex stills and I just orgasmed.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. That's awesome. It felt very connected. Whereas, maybe a couple of the other scenes I had done earlier on weren't as like, you didn't have that chemistry. But I think I'm pretty fortunate in the fact that I tend to have pretty good chemistry with people. Like I can think of plenty of instances where I haven't, but it's more times that I'm like, wow, like I had really good chemistry, like rather than being like, it just wasn't there. Like I feel like I've never really struggled with finding that, which is helpful in the sense of being able to get pleasure from it too.
Did you know that about yourself before going into sex work, or was that also something that you really discovered?
No, I think I discovered that because I was kind of always promiscuous, I guess. Like, even before sex work, I was kind of always just very a free sexual person, being kind of like, I don't give a shit what anybody thinks. I'm going to bang who I want. I feel that I didn't realize though, like the chemistry thing, until you kind of like, you break the barrier. It's like you're having sex with somebody professionally, right?
Yeah.
And like, we're all going back to our separate lives. But like, you have this one moment where you're just like,
yeah.
Ooh,
or like, it's you and them.
You feel that. And I definitely think that was something that being in the industry helped me with as far as like, I don't think I had that from the beginning. I think it developed over time and like over my, I guess like stages of becoming the performer that I am now. It's definitely like helped.
Yeah.